Let's give it up again for Kate Caforio with her info. Love info. I have a great lot of respect for info. I also do that event when I'm not doing Impromptu, which is what I'm going to be doing now. Impromptu is, in my opinion, the greatest speech event because I don't know what I'm going to be talking about before I start talking about it, which is just real exciting. The way that Impromptu works in competition is pretty simple. All of the competitors get kicked out of the room. That's not the best part. But when we come back in, we are given 3 different prompts, and we look at those prompts, we pick one, and we have 2 minutes to pick that prompt and then create a speech around it that is typically about 6 minutes long. I don't think anyone's timing me this time around, but I'm pretty good at keeping them around 6 minutes from practice. And in that 6 minutes, I can talk about whatever I want. I have to take a standpoint on the prompt and what it means, but aside from that, my argument is completely up to me, which is a lot of fun. And I've heard you guys give me some crazy prompts. So we'll see how this turns out.
All right, so Joe has not seen the sheet that Aaron is holding. That has 3 of the 5 things you suggested. He's going to sit down and pick one of them, and he's going to have 2 minutes to make a speech off it. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. Aaron, start the timer when you're ready.
The time starts now.
Now, as Joe writes his speech, we're going to commentary over it softly to keep interest. Joe needs absolute focus, so whatever you do, don't make any loud noises. That might distract. Oh, hey, how's it going? So, as Joe continues to write, you might see some sweat bead off of his hair. It is a pretty nerve-wracking thing, but he shouldn't be nervous. It's a group of students that, he may or may never see
30 seconds
again.
have elapsed.
Oh no. 30 whole seconds. That's a fourth of his time. Any math classes in here? You just learned something. Joe continues to write away, the pressure mounting. Who knows what topic he picked? Who knows what he's writing about? Will it be good? Will it be great? Probably one of those two. If it's
You guys
not,
are crazy, just so you know.
you're doing
1
great.
minute has passed.
Oh no. With 1 minute past, that means there's only 1 minute left. He stopped writing. Is his speech done, or is there writer's block? We don't know. Hey, is anyone interested in seeing the new Twilight Zone? Because that sounds pretty cool to me. Has anyone seen the trailers yet? Like, oh man. Peele from Key and Peele? Oh, love that guy. He directed Get Out. Anyone see Get Out?
30 seconds remaining.
Oh, 30 seconds remaining. Now the pressure really mounts. He tries to get his speech in his head that he has to deliver in just 30 seconds. Look at that face. All right.
Time is up.
Time is up. All right, everyone give a big hand for Joe Brown.
So, there is a teacher at this school known as Mr. Forsythe. And what's really interesting to me about Mr. Forsythe, I have him as a calculus teacher, but I also worked with him in drama as a drama director because he was a Shakespearean actor. What a crazy dude. He went to college for math, and then he decided, maybe I'll take a step away from math. And then he did Shakespeare, and then went back to doing math after that. Well, that is just purely ridiculous. And what we learn from this is what it means to be multi-talented. Mr. Forsythe is a crazy person. Shakespeare and calculus have nothing to do with each other. But because of those two things, and the fact that he is multi-talented, Mr. Forsythe benefits from this. And we can see that all of us would benefit from looking at today's prompt, Mr. Forsythe, and learning what it means to be multi-talented and how we can utilize that in our own lives. There are 3 key ways that we can utilize being multi-talented. It helps us to better attack problems, it allows us to adapt to different situations, and it makes us more creative creators. But first, being multi-talented allows you to attack problems with a lot more aggression because you have different ways of going about it. Take the example of athlete adventurer Ross Edgley. Does anyone here know who Ross Edgley is? Ross Edgley works for Red Bull. which basically means he does the craziest things possible and gets sponsored by an energy drink. Everything that Ross Edgley does is like if a sentient can of Red Bull thought up a creation for like an athletic challenge, and then they made him do it. Ross Edgley has pulled cars for entire marathons. That took him 19 hours. He swam around the entire island of Great Britain. That took him 5 months. He also tied a wooden log to his back and swam an entire triathlon. Why is he able to do all of this stuff? Well, mostly because he's multi-talented. Ross Edgley powerlifts. He swims long distances. He runs long distances. He does gymnastic training. He does all of these different athletic things so that when he goes against that one singular challenge, whatever he happens to be doing at that time, whatever the crazy people over at Red Bull thought up, he's equipped to do it. Just like Mr. Forsythe, Ross Edgley is multi-talented. So when he goes attacking something, when he goes after that goal, he has different avenues with which he can face them. And because of his diverse background and different athletic abilities, he's far more suited to take those on. And so we can see, just like Mr. Forsythe, if we work on different areas and try to become multi-talented, we will be better equipped to take on new challenges. But it's not just going on against some challenge that we can benefit from being multi-talented. Obviously, when you have different skills, you can adapt better to situations. And someone who knows a whole lot about adapting to situations is free solo climber Alex Honnold. Free soloing is a style of climbing that ensues immediate death if you mess up. He doesn't have any ropes, he doesn't have any partners, he's got his lonely bag of chalk and his very, very strong fingers. And with those meaty, meaty fingers, Alex Honnold grips onto the rock with all his life because he is climbing sheer cliff faces, thousands of feet tall. And if he lets go, he's dead. So, how does Alex Honnold handle this situation? And the answer is he's multi-talented. Alex Honnold has done just about every kind of climbing there is. He's done ice climbing, he's done in-wall climbing with different tricks and variations, he's done in-wall crack climbing, any different kind of climbing you can think of, he's done. So when he gets on that wall, and there's no way out except up, and he faces certain death if he messes up, Alex Honnold has to have any way to adapt to the situation. And he's able to do that because he's multi-talented. With all of these different skills in his background of climbing, he can attack the problem in so many different ways that he's better able to adapt to the situation. No matter what the mountain throws at him, Alex Honnold can make his way up. Because just like Papa Forsythe, he's multi-talented. And that is incredible. So, we've seen that attacking problems head on. We have more avenues if we are multi-talented. We can adapt better to weird situations if we are multi-talented. But finally, we'll be more amazing creators. Who here has come to see a York production? One of the plays, not a musical. That's less hands than I would like to see. Shame on you. They're free. Go to them. But they're amazing. You want to know why? Because Mr. Forsythe is creative. He's not just out here doing Shakespeare. He has all these crazy ideas, like making Shakespeare happen like in the modern day in Georgia for some reason. And all of this comes from his multi-talented background. He's not just a Shakespearean actor. He's done math and all these other things. And because of that, he's a better creator. Another example of someone that we see to be an amazing creator is George Surratt in the musical Sunday in the Park with George, which is just one of my favorite musicals. Sunday in the Park with George is his story, the story of a painter who wanted to create something that would outlast him, that would tell the story of immortality. He had this amazing vision of what art could look like and what it could do to people. And so he would take this picture, this idea of a painting called A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of Le Grand Jatte. And he took this image of like 54 people that were just sitting on an island. None of them knew each other, none of them had anything to do with each other. And he wanted to paint it. And he wanted to do this to show that everyone will be immortalized in time, that one instant matters so much that it'll last forever. And this was a noble goal. But in order to achieve it, he didn't just have to have the image. He had to have the art skills. And on top of this amazing, ambitious goal of taking this image and making it last forever, George Surratt also had this amazing idea of doing it in pointillism. Tiny little colored dots so close to each other that eventually it would spread out through an entire image. And the thing that really makes this painting amazing isn't one singular thing, it's all of it. George Surratt was so multi-talented in his technique, but also his ideas, his scope, but also his planning, that in the musical you really see why this painting is so significant, why they made a musical about it. This one painting shows so many different elements. So if we are multi-talented like Mr. Forsythe, and multi-talented like George Seurat, we will be such amazing creators because there's so many more elements, so many more dimensions to what we create. So ultimately, who here didn't realize they were going to learn something from Mr. Forsythe today? It's worse for me, I have in fourth period. But apparently we did. Mr. Forsythe is multi-talented, and we learned so much from that. We learned that we can better take on challenges when we have more avenues to go about them with. We learned that we can adapt to strange situations when we have more tools in our tool bag. And we finally learned that we will be better creators if we have more knowledge and more background with which to do that creating. So yes, Mr. Forsythe might be an interesting prompt to give me, and I'm sure you all thought you were really proud of that, but it's not a bad prompt because we learned so much from the idea of being multi-talented. We learned so much that we don't have to be one-dimensional people, that it's actually better if we branch ourselves out. And I think that's honestly amazing, and it's worth 1,000 calculus lessons.